Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Where is Yarafa'u Ibrahimu? Where is? And remember when. is a particle that's used. It wants to cause us to reflect back in the past, reflect back in history. When we say is, when we say either wants us to look forward towards the future. Either. So in English, we can say when for both of them. When Yarafa'u, when he raises, that could be the future. We would say either Yarafa'u, when Abraham raises. But if we want to look toward the past, we say is. But is Yarafa'u? But we still say and when. But we say and when in the past. There's when in the future and there's when in the past. When Abraham raises. So this is the past, even though we're using the present tense verb Yarafa'u. We're talking in the past. When Abraham raises, El Qawaida, the foundation. I'm going to give just a word-to-word translation first, and then when we look at the tafsir, we will elaborate on these ideas here. The foundation, men of or from El-Bayti, the house, from the house. Where Ismailu and Ismail or Ishmael. In English, we'll say I think it's Ismail or Ismail, but in the Arabic, Ismail. I say Ismail so much, I forgot how to say it the other way. Ismail. So Ismail, here the word ends in Dhamma for the grammar students. Some of you understand Arabic. And Ibrahim ends in Dhamma. So this Ismail is a follower in sequence to Ibrahim. So you would read it. Ibrahim, who is Abraham, and Ismail raised the foundation of the house. But you can see that importance is on Abraham, because Abraham is said first. And with the words that's coming between the two of them, then we say Ismail. So the focus would be on Abraham, though it's on both of them. But when the Qur'an, the first one that's mentioned, more emphasis would be on that person than the second one that's mentioned, especially when the words appear between them, between the two. And they say, Rabbana, our guardian evolver, taqabbal, accept meaning to be pleased, Rabbana taqabbal. Sometimes when we make the salat and we complete the salat, you hear sometimes the believers will greet each other. They will say taqabbal, meaning may Allah accept our prayer. This is what we're saying. Taqabbal Allah, taqabbal Allah, Allahu, taqabbal Allahu. But we say it so fast, so we put together taqabbal Allah. but taqabbal Allah, or taqabbal Allah, may Allah accept our prayer. Taqabbala Allahu. But this is a greeting that we give to each other. And then the response is minna wa minkum. Minna wa minkum. If someone says to you, taqabbal Allah, you could say, minna wa minkum, from us and from you. So he says here, accept, meaning to be pleased from us, of us, in terms of the work we are doing and establishing or building the house. We'll get more involved in it. Innaka, surely you, this you is, they're still speaking to Allah. Surely you, anta, you again. Putting emphasis on it. Whenever the Qur'an repeats itself like this, it's doing it for emphasis. As though it's saying, surely you, as-sami'u, are the hearing, al-alimu, the knowing. This is the verse we're going to speak from. So in the tafsir, he says, where uzkur. Uzkur is remember. Where uzkur, remember. So let's see if I can put them both in the screen together. There we go. So he's saying, remember. Uzkur is. And some will say that is an abbreviation of uzkur. I know at one time there was questions about does the Qur'an have abbreviations in it, and discussion going back and forth. But yes, the Qur'an does have abbreviations in it. It even has the letters of abbreviation, alif, lam, mim. Those are abbreviations, letters of abbreviation. So here they say that is remember. Remember. Is. From uzkur, remember when. Or uzkur is understood. Remember when. Then he says, إِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الْقَوَاعِدَ. And from this phrase of the verse that we have in the bracket shows the phrase of the verse coming from here. So he's saying, when Abraham raised the foundation. El-Asasa is, he's defining El-Qawaida. As El-Asasa or El-Juzura, we say Juzura, meaning the foundation is that Abraham raised the foundation or the walls. Now, let me speak about this for a moment. This phrase here, al-qawaida, this phrase is it saying that Abraham raised the foundation of the house being the Kaaba, is understood as the Kaaba. So did Abraham build the whole Kaaba, or the foundation already established? And Abraham raised the walls from the foundation that he began to raise the walls from the foundation. And there are scholars who say that it was Adam. That Adam built the foundation of the Kaaba. And I'm talking literal now, but we're going to discuss it in another light. that Adam was the one who built the foundation. And then Abraham, he began to raise the walls of the foundation. And we had it in our presentation before about Adam. Adam is the one who raised the foundation, who built the foundation. And Abraham built upon that foundation of the house. Min al-Bayti. And al-Bayti, he's saying, Yabnihi, he built it, muta'allakun bi yarfa'u, meaning it's associated with yarfa'u, meaning that he structured, he built. Yabnihu, meaning he built it in the idea of yarfa'u. So he's saying that he built it. He built the house. But yet, did he build up the foundation, the whole house, or did he build upon the foundation of the house? What Ismail, it should be what Ismailu, typo here. Atfun ala Ibrahim, meaning it's a conjunction upon Ibrahim. Yakulani, and they both of them say, Rabbana taqabbal minna, that our Lord, our guardian evolver, our Lord, accept from us, bina'ana, our structure, our building, structure. This bina, we see in the word bina, we see the word sons also, sons. Because the sons are the builders. They're the builders of society. We look for the young people. The young people should be the builders, not the older people. The older people are not the builders. It's the young men. The young men are the builders. The legs, the word for legs, and the word for man is from the same word, rajulun. Rajulun is a man, but it's the legs. The legs. Because the men are the legs of society. They're the legs. They carry the society. But we want young legs. Young legs, not shaky legs. Young, strong legs. This comes from our sons. So the sons shouldn't come into the community looking for a job from the elders. The sons should come into the community as builders, young men. The nation of Islam was built by young men, not older men. Young men. It was young men selling papers. It was young men selling bean pies. It was young men that was leading the community. Young men. Imam W.D. Muhammad was 40 years old when he became the leader of the whole community at 40 years old. A young man. 40 is a young man. I'm an older man now. I'm not a young man. So you shouldn't look for me to be a builder, the builders. We should be looking for our young men in their 20s, 30s, becoming teenagers. But it was the Pharaoh who destroyed the young men. And that principle is still with us, this pharaonic principle of destroying the young men. And our young men are not with us, our sons. There's not enough of them that are with us. So they should have in them the motivation to build, not to come and sit, to build. Yes, and our teachers should be the old men. Like what I'm doing now. I'm a teacher now. So you shouldn't say to me, Brother Imam, you need to get out here and roll your sleeves up. No, you say that to a young man. Not to me. You should get out here and roll your sleeves up and start getting some bricks and mortar. No. That's what young men, the young men. I'm to encourage young men to build houses for the future of the community. But not me. The young man should be building businesses, not me. You should be teaching me how to manage Social Security. But this is the young man, Binad. I'm saying this for a reason because we're going to get to the logic of this in our presentation. Minad. So you can see Abraham has with him a young man, his son Ismail, to help establish, to help build, raise the foundation of the house. Is that for a purpose? Innaka anta as-sami'u lil-qawli. You hear the words. Surely you are the hearer of all the words. Al-alimu, and knowledgeable of all the actions. The words and the actions. Okay. From this we have our reflection. Remember when Abraham and Ismail raised the foundation upon which you stand. This is Yalafa'u. The Yalafa'u is the foundation, but it's the place where you stand. Where you stand. We know at the place of the Kaaba, I believe. I have not made the pilgrimage yet. Inshallah, I hope to make it soon. But they say there's a place there where Abraham stood. It's called Maqam. Maqam Ibrahim. And Maqam is from the word of stand, where you stand. Where you stand, and Abraham, that's where he stood. They say he stood there teaching. Abraham stood there teaching. And the pilgrims, they make 2 rakats, following the way of Abraham. 2 rakats. I may speak a little longer today because it's Saturday. And maybe you all don't have anywhere to go. So, pardon me if I speak a little long today and tomorrow, because it's the weekend and it's Saturday. So, Maqam is the place that you stand. And you stand upon the foundation. Beautiful. And he built upon that foundation by teaching. So we're looking at the literal house. We're looking at also the abstract idea of house. So he's building the house. He built upon the foundation, and he's teaching. So we make 2 rakats, following the way of Abraham. But Abraham, did he make 2 rakats, praying like we pray the 2 rakats? And how is it that we're following Abraham if we're making 2 rakats and Abraham was teaching? So we can see this in our Jumu'ah. The Jumu'ah prayer, we have normally at the time of noon, we have the prayer, and the prayer consists of 4 rakats. It's 4 rakats. But in the Jumu'ah, we make 2 rakats, then, and the Imam first, he makes the teaching, he gives the teaching first, then after the teaching, we only make 2 rakats. We don't make 4 rakats. Because the teaching, the khutbah, the teaching, the address, the teaching takes the place of 2 rakats. So, in following Abraham, the teaching is 2 rakats. So we're making 2 rakats. We make 2 rakats as a sign of his teaching. And in the Jummah, we actually are teaching the 2 rakats. So when you come into the Jummah, when the Imam is teaching, you should make sunnah rakats. Because once you're in the prayer, once he started teaching, you're in the prayer of 4 rakats. So you should make the 2 rakats. We know we have discussions about this. I'm showing you the logic of it. When you come into the Musalla, the place that you pray, and the community is already starting the community prayer, or we say the Fard prayer, you don't come in and make 2 rakat sunnah and then join the group. No, you forego the 2 rakat sunnah and you join the group. Because the 2 rakats have to talk so that the Christians that are joining us also understand that when we make the salat, our prayer, we have units. We have units of prayer. Standing, bowing, prostration, standing up, and we count the units. So we have the individual prayer and we have the group prayer. The individual prayer we call the sunnah prayer. And they are made alone, individually. Then the group prayer is made all together as a group. And the group prayer is more important than the individual prayer. So when the group prayer starts, we forego the individual prayer, we have to join the group. It's no longer about the individual anymore. It's the group. So you don't come into the prayer hall and the group prayer has started, you don't make individual prayers. No, you join the group. And if you have missed one of the units of the prayer, you make that unit up. So the same is for the Jummah, if you follow the logic. When the Imam begins the khutbah, the teachings, this is part of the 2 rakats. And the group is like the group. The group is in the prayer now. You don't come into the salah making your own individual prayers while the group prayer is going on. I hope you understand and see the logic is. No. You forego the individual prayer. It doesn't have the importance. It's not fard. We call it fard. Like, it doesn't have the importance. It's not fard that you make the sunnah prayers. Or even the greeting the masjid prayer. Some people will come in, they will greet the masjid with two units of prayer. Then they make the 2 sunnah prayers. They do all of this while the Imam is giving the khutbah. Just if you're a more ethical thinking American, that would be disrespect to the Imam. It's disrespectful. You don't have to be a Muslim to see that that's disrespectful. If someone is making a public speech to a public audience and you're going through movements while the speaker is speaking, you're disrespecting the speaker. Okay. I know some of you are going to say we're not Americans. But maybe that's where America got it from. Maybe America got it from the Muslims, that when the speaker is speaking, you should sit down and listen. Yes. That maybe we teach our children that, because that's where we got it from. And if you want to interrupt the speaker, you should say, excuse me. Many of us interrupt each other speaking. We'll be amongst the group, and you don't say, excuse me. You just walk up and start shaking hands and greeting, and you interrupt the 2 people speaking. They're speaking to each other. And you interrupt. Thinking that it's incumbent that you greet someone. And you interrupt them, you don't say excuse me or anything. Okay. This is all part of our speech. You will see. So they say, our guardian Father would be pleased with us in our work, that you would turn to us, surely you are hearing and knowing in everything. So now we have the outline that we're going to be addressing. Perhaps you will stay with us as we go through the steps. The first part is the establishment of the house and critical thinking. The spiritual nature, the rise of moral and ethical nature, and this is all about the house. So we're talking about the house as well as we're talking about the humanity, because the house represents the humanity. And it's the origin of humanity the house represents. But the origin of humanity and humanity itself we're speaking from. Promotion of rational thinking and sacrifice of spiritual thinking. Muslim schools pattern after rational thinking. Empirical or secular studies and spiritual or religious studies. This is going to be our address today. So in this verse, Allah is informing us that Ismail is a helper to Prophet Abraham to establish upon or to build upon the foundation of the house. As we have discussed, that perhaps the foundation is already there by Prophet Adam. And Adam, we know, represents the foundation of humanity in that Adam represents the original man in his original nature. This is Adam, man in his original nature. And it's Abraham that's building upon the original nature. He's raising, he's elevating, he's ascending, meaning bringing the walls up. He's ascending, building the house based upon Adam, the original nature. We can see both this idea here in both of the Eves. In fact, I'm beginning to believe that we could see the whole religion is represented in the two Eves, with all of its signs and symbols that's represented in the two Eves. So we're in the season of the first Eve, Eid al-Fitr, and that's the returning of the original nature. Eid is to return. It's to return, to do over again. The Eid. And the Fitra is the original creation, man in its first creation. When we come into this world, we're coming from a place of our first creation. We're coming and we're manifesting ourselves in another world. We've already had one creation, then Allah brings us into another creation. Our first creation is the creation we use Fatara. That's our original creation that we were created originally in a place, in a system, in the created system, but it's abstract. This is called the fitra. But this abstract is our foundation. And the baby, every child, is born upon this foundation. And this humanity is born upon, established upon this foundation, represented in Prophet Adam. So this is the first Eve. And if we think about it, Abraham and the signs of Abraham is in the second Eve. It's not in the first Eve. It's in the second Eve. That's where we have the symbols. We have the symbols and rituals that reflect upon Abraham and Hagar. It's in the second Eve, Eid al-Adha. And Eid al-Adha is the return to the greater light. A greater light. So Adam is established in the fitra, and Abraham is going to raise. We're going to be raised upon that nature. Adam is raised upon that nature with his thinking. With the thinking. And we also have at the pilgrimage, we have the ascension, the Hajj proper, the pilgrimage proper, is when the pilgrims go to Mount Arafat. Mount Arafat is the ascension. That's the raising. That's the raising of the humanity is at Mount Arafat. And we have to come down. Everyone has to go on Mount Arafat. You can't say, oh, I don't want to go on Mount Arafat because the pagans used to go on Mount Arafat. That's how some of us talk. Well, I don't want to recognize Christmas because the pagans, those are pagan ideas. Pagans did that. Do you know the pagans used to go between Safa and Marwa? And the Muslims, they refused to go between Safa and Marwa because it's something the pagans did? Do you know the pagans used to go around the Kaaba? The pagans used to do it. Now, Ibrahim, we could say, he built the walls. But Ibrahim, I'm speaking philosophically now. I know some of you may be quick to disagree, but think with me. Ibrahim, Adam is the foundation of the house. Ibrahim built the house, but Ibrahim didn't complete the house. This verse does not give us an idea that Ibrahim and Ismail completed the house. It says they built upon the foundation. But it didn't say they completed it, because it's Muhammad the Prophet, the praise and peace be upon all of them, who completed the house. We have it in the, how can I say this? Because I'm going to take the hadith and reconcile the hadith with the Qur'an. In the hadith, in the report, it says that there was this house. And this house was a marvelous house. And the people were looking at this house, and they were marveled by the house, but the house didn't make complete sense to them because there was a piece missing. There was a brick missing. We say brick. But I'm going to say there was a log missing. Think of the house made of logs. That Adam, he built the foundation. And then it's Abraham who began to place the logs to make the walls. And every prophet that comes who represents the house are placing their logs in the house to build the house. So if you think of logs, you can think of logic. So Abraham is the first. He's the teacher of logical thinking. And he's building this logical thinking upon the foundation of the original nature. And every prophet that comes, he's logging. And the logs that we have of every prophet is the scripture. The scriptures are logs. You're logging. Jesus, we have logs of the time of Jesus. We have logs of the time of Moses. We have logs of the time of Ibrahim. These are all logs. But the house is not making sense because it's not complete. There's a log missing. And Muhammad the Prophet says, I am that log. I know I'm not giving it literally. I'm giving it so you understand. It's I'm that brick. I'm the missing piece. Muhammad the Prophet completes the house. And the log he completes the house with is called the Qur'an. That's the final log. I hope you're with me. Yes. So the Muslims, all of them, have to have this ascension. They have to go on the Mount Arafat and they have to come down. They can't stay up there. You can go up in the sky, but you can't stay up there. You can ascend, but you can't stay up. You can go in your high sky of your spirituality, as we said yesterday, I believe, but you can't stay up there. You have to come down. You have to come down and make the great sacrifice. The great sacrifice, meaning that you have to share. You have to share what you receive from your high spirituality. You have to share it with those that were not able to make the ascension. Now, in doing so, we call it sacrifice. In doing so, you have to take the high spiritual knowledge and put it in a language that the common man can understand. The word qawaidat for foundation is the same word we use in language. Abraham built upon the language. the foundation, the language. It's the foundation he built upon. It's called Qawaida, but we'll talk about that word another time. But you have to put it in their language. You can ascend high in your spirituality, go to great schools, what have you, but you have to come down. You know, they teach us to go out for education, but they don't teach us to come back. And we hear people complaining about what do they call it? Gentrification. Gentrification is when the people come and they move into a neighborhood where it's mostly renters, or the people there, they will sell the housing, or the renters they'll sell the housing, or the renters will be pushed out because they can no longer afford the rent in the area. It's called gentrification. But the area was an area that was predominantly an African American community. But we were taught to go out for education. We were taught to improve ourselves, but we were not taught to come back. We were taught to make the ascension, to go and get the education, make the ascension, but we were not taught to come back and help those who were not able to make the ascension in education. We go out and we improve our life, but we're not taught to come back. So we don't come back. And today, we have advanced African Americans in our community. Our sons, our daughters are more advanced than we are, but they don't come back. We did not teach them to come back to help those who were not able to ascend, not even to help those who become older. And many times, when they do come back, we ourselves, as an older generation, don't know how to receive our own sons and daughters to help us continue in this work that we have, that we've taken upon. Yes. So you have to go back. This is the message in the pilgrimage. You have to go back. Now, in going back now, I'm speaking of one aspect of sacrifice that you have to make is that, one, you have to put it in common language, and when you begin to speak common language to a common man who has not made the ascension, you are going to be mistaken to be him, like him. But you're not like him because you're made an ascension. You're greater thinking than he is. But he's going to treat you just like you're him. And you're going to become offended by that treatment, and you're going to leave. This is what occurs in our community. Oh, he ain't nothing. He ain't nothing. I remember when me and him used to hang out on the corners together. No, but he made an ascension. He's coming back to help you now on that corner. He knows how to establish a bakery, and you don't have to stand on the corners anymore and sell bean pies. You're still on the corner selling bean pies after almost 100 years. And you look and you would think that, oh, it was just yesterday. Yesterday, Friday. No, it wasn't yesterday, Friday, that you was on the corner. You was on that corner 100 years ago. But nothing has changed. To the point, it's the same as though you was on that corner Friday. It's been 100 years. Because we go out, make the ascension, but we can't go back. If we go back, they're not going to treat you right. They're going to treat you like one of them. In fact, they are going to want to be the teachers over you. This is an African American problem that we have. A serious problem that we have. Okay. So let me get back now. So the Kaaba, this is the Kaaba. It's centered around the Kaaba, this idea of all of the prophets have logged into or unlogged into the walls of the Kaaba. And Muhammad is the completion of that wall. Now, Ismail was also left in the desert that we now call Mecca. Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Then it was Mecca, Arabia. But now it's Saudi Arabia. Saudia comes from the family of Saul. He put his name on the country now. Saul. So he was left in the desert with his mother Hagar. Hagar. Hagar was rejected like the mother of Jesus. The praise and the peace of Allah be upon both of them. The mother of Jesus, Mary, was rejected to have a place to bear her child, Jesus. And I'm going to make just a side comment. Hagar was rejected, and Mary was rejected. Those who claim to be from Hagar, like the Muslims, and those who claim to be from Mary, like the Christians, should never be seen rejecting people. If you understand. Should never be prejudiced people that we would reject someone. Because our mothers, if I can put it that way, our mothers were rejected. So we should never grow up to be people who reject people. After Ismail, getting back to the point, is delivered by his mother in the barren land, she panics for the search of water for her child. This is symbolized in one of the Hajj rites, in one of the pilgrimage rites, the running back and forth from the two hills of Safa and Marwa. She's running back and forth in search of water. And this represents going from one extreme to the other in the mind in search for answers. This we can call critical or independent thinking, or even rational thinking. We would call it in Arabic, we would call it ijtihad. Ijtihad. Something that that today many of the scholars they close the door on. They close the door on this type of thinking in the mind, of going back and forth in search for answers. A curiosity. After your curiosity has been agitated, you're going back and forth now. You've been educated in your curiosity, so you're going back and forth for answers. So they want us to be, as we were saying in the presentation, like the sun. They want us to be like the sun. The sun doesn't change. The moon changes. So they don't want this idea of waxing and waning in the mind like the moon, like the light in the moon, it waxes and wanes. It waxes and wanes. Go back and forth, go back and forth. They don't want that. They want to be like the sun. The sun doesn't change. So the sun, they want all of us to lock us up in 10th century thinking, as though there's no other form of thinking other than what we got from the scholars of the 10th century. So Hagar is found that water came up out of the desert land at the heels of the baby, Ismail. This is a sign of Ismail's strong spiritual nature. So we see in the feet is the foundation. It's our foundation. The water is coming up at the hills, at the feet of Ibrahim. And the feet, we're saying, is a sign of our spiritual nature. Spirituality does not begin in the head or the hands, but in the feet. The sole of the foot is very sensitive, especially in the ark. The ark. These are all connecting words. And that's the part of the foot that's on the earth, the bottom of the foot. The part of the bottom of the foot is the most sensitive part of the foot, the foundation. The foundation is the most sensitive part. That part of the foot is called the sole. A play on the word soul. S-O-L-E, soul, and S-O-U-L, soul. Because the soul is the most sensitive part of man's spiritual makeup. The soul is the most sensitive part. Now we can see, if you start with the soul, how the legs are connected to the feet. We have to have our sons with us. Water is also a sign of sensitivity. Just a light drop of dust can touch on still water and cause ripples. Water is used in Scripture as a sign of man's moral and spiritual nature. It rises from the earth, perhaps from the salty sea water, and corrupted waters, as a thin mist and forms clouds, then rains back down as pure, sweet water. This also, you can see, we're seeing the signs of foundation, and we're seeing the signs of ascension and coming back down. Likewise, we should rise with our moral nature of being physically clean from drugs, alcohol, vulgarity, lewdness, etc., to a higher moral nature forming an ethical society. Make this connection with what I've said. These principal activities start in the feet and rise to the intellect to establish the rules of moral thinking that affects ethical behavior that will confirm the disciplines of education, science, and governmental rule. It starts in the feet. The water starts in the feet, and it flows. It flows up. It flows up to the skies, or goes up to the skies of the spirituality, our spirituality. Now, most rivers flow down. The Mississippi flows down. It doesn't flow up. Geographically speaking, it flows down. But there are rivers that flow up. The Nile is a river that flows up. You go from a southern place in Egypt, if you follow the river now. You go from a southern place, it flows to a northern place. So the Nile flows up. It doesn't flow down. It flows up. I know there's a river in West Virginia because I know West Virginia, it flows up. It flows from the south up to the north. But what caused it to flow up is the hills. The water was at the hill. It's at the hills, and from the hills, the water flows up. That's what caused the water to flow up north, because of the hills. And if you talk the river language, and you're in a city, you're in a southern city, and you're going to go to the northern city, you don't say, I'm going up to Charleston. You say, I'm going down to Charleston. And you could be confused if you don't understand the language of the river people. Because you would say, how are you going up to Charleston when Charleston is north of where you're going? It's river talk, symbolic river talk. I'm going down because you're following the river down to Charleston. because the river flows down the hill. But as it flows down from the hill, it's flowing up geographically to the sky. Our spirituality, where we have our moral and ethical thinking, is in the head, comes from the head. And there is where we establish the disciplines of education, science, government, etc. This is the destiny that we should be headed for as a community, especially the African American community at large. We can't get there unless the rain of revelation comes down from the skies of our spirituality. It goes up. It goes up. Now, just to make a side note, so I don't take too much time, that if we read Revelation, we will see that Allah, in speaking to us, uses the language from our experiences, from things He's created, from the earth. But this language is an ascending language. And we have to ascend. This language will cause us to ascend up into our high spirituality, the skies of a high spirituality, and it rains back down as revelation. It comes down as revelation from the high spirituality, our high spirituality. It comes down. I hope you're following. Also, Ismail was the son to be sacrificed by Ibrahim. Ibrahim saw that his son Ismail was devoted to the spiritual development, the water, the spirituality. We find it with Ibrahim. With Ismail. And Ibrahim needed him to assist him in structuring the house, the society. Because Ibrahim was more of the rational type. He's the educator. He's the teacher, the first educator in rational, logical thinking. He's the first one who's placing the laws. He needs his son to help him with the laws, with rational, logical thinking to build his house. We could say that he is the father of rational thinking, or he's the father of philosophical, critical. He's the father of ijtihad. He saw a great future in the production for people who devoted themselves to reason and to the rational sciences for the material construction of the world. That's what Ibrahim saw. He knew how important that was for structuring the house. So he perceived that it came to him in a vision to sacrifice his son that seemed to be so spiritual and less rational. Now you all have to follow me in this. Isn't that what the world presents to us now when we look at those who are devoted to the spiritual sciences and those that are devoted to the rational or secular sciences? Now we have those that are devoted to the spiritual or religious science, we could say. And then there are those who are devoted to the rational or secular sciences. There is still the tendency in society to sacrifice the spiritual for the advancement of the rational. Because we think that to build a community, we need the rational, or what is termed now secular education, more so than we need the spiritual or religious education. We think that we can forego the spiritual and just deal with the rational. Our schools, those that we have in the Muslim community, and I'm speaking throughout the whole Muslim community now, here in America, and perhaps abroad, with the influence of Western education now. They pattern their educational system after the public school. They want the children to be able to pass the academic tests that will be a sign of their progress and the ability to advance in the society. Some of them have done quite well in producing good students in this area that they can boast of the material advancement and careers of the students. Yes, I can boast of my son. Yes, my son, he's the engineer. He's a great engineer, young age, and works in the middle management at 25 years old. Yes, boasting. But my son isn't like me. I'm too spiritual. So we have sacrificed that. And we can boast that. Many of us can boast. We see it, we're going to see it now. Just, if you're on Facebook, you're going to see us boasting of the accomplishments of our sons and daughters in the secular educational system. And I'm not saying they shouldn't achieve in the secular educational system, but we have the tendency to sacrifice the spiritual. While at the same time, that the secular education is being advanced, spiritual studies have been neglected or sacrificed because we feel that the spiritual sciences have no place in the development of the material world. How many times are we going to hear someone, oh, brother Imam, you just talking. You just talking. You teaching, but when are you going to get some bricks? When are you going to roll your sleeves up and build a community? As we said before, they haven't made the ascension. So let's forego that. Let's forego all the religious studies because we have a community to build. How many private Muslim schools produce leaders in the world of reading and interpreting revelation as it applies to the life of the individual in society? Very important. I'm going to read it again. How many private Muslim schools produce leaders in the world of reading and interpreting revelation, Qur'an, scripture, both Qur'an and Bible? I can talk to the Christians as well with the same problem. As it applies to the life of the individual in society. I read where some women, Allah in Christ said he heard the complaint of the women. There are women complaining. They're complaining that when they go to the masjid for the teaching, it puts them to sleep. And they leave out no better off than they were when they went in to the Jumu'ah, to the gathering. Because the teacher has not been taught to read and interpret revelation and apply it to the life of the people that he's talking to. He doesn't have a life force. There's no life force in his words. So they go to sleep. They take the mind somewhere 1,000 years ago, 10th century or somewhere, and it doesn't even apply to them. Their issues are not being addressed. They can't use the Qur'an and address their issues. Because they haven't been educated. We forego spiritual education. We think it's not needed. We think that spiritual education is not needed to help establish the material society that we need to establish. Yes. I went to Jumu'ah yesterday. And here it is, Ramadan. And in the Juma, in the Musalla, it's lit up with marijuana. Smelling marijuana, strong. Now, I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that could smell it. You know, slavery took away most of our senses. So we don't have the sense of smell. It's not as keen as it should be. Now, remember, Pharaoh killed the sons. He killed all of our senses. The women, he didn't kill their senses. That's why they're still great cooks. Our women are still great cooks because they still have the sense of smell and taste. The men generally don't have that keen sense for taste. One of my wives could taste some food, and she could tell me everything that was placed in the food. My mind is slipping now because I'm not supposed to talk about this. That's why I slipped it. But every ingredient, I'm going to say, that's in the food, she could say, because that's how keen her sense of taste. So it smells like marijuana in the masjid. I've addressed it once. I thought, but there were new people because it's Ramadan. And we're bringing our sons and daughters to the masjid during Ramadan. They're coming to Ramadan. They've been out in the streets or outside the community. Now they come to Ramadan smelling like weed. So how can we take the spiritual sciences and address the ones smelling like weed? I'm saying to I'm already high. Spiritually from Ramadan. It's in Ramadan. I'm already high. Now I got to get another contact high. As the comedians say, now I got the high. It's like Huber. That's just like Huber. Yes. But no. But the scripture, study the scripture, it addresses it. If they smoking marijuana today, they're not going to start smoking tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, and they don't have a medical problem. Just don't smoke the marijuana before you come to Juma. Start there. And if you follow the scripture, after a while you're going to see you don't need marijuana. You won't need marijuana to get high. You can get high off of the spiritual studies. But we forego that. Okay, let's get back. So they can't reach. Our teachers, they can't reach the audience with the Qur'an. They haven't studied the Qur'an. They refuse to study Qur'an. They refuse to study, they're coming to the Arabic studies so they can study the Qur'an and teach it at the Juma. Don't you know, like I'm teaching now. I'm teaching every day during Ramadan. Every morning, teaching every morning without repeating myself. Every morning. And then I teach every Wednesday. And I've been doing it for 10 years. Every Wednesday. And I'm fresh. I feel fresh. Some things I repeated, but it's fresh still. That over a period of time, just speaking once a week on Wednesday, the students who come once a week, ask them, not boasting, I'm just showing the principle. They have grown in their Quranic studies by coming to class once a week. So are you going to tell me that if I were to do the Juma once a week, and you keep coming to the same place once a week and listen to me with the Juma prayer, you're going to tell me you're not going to grow after 10 years of this? Yes, I have proof that you will grow from it. 10 years. Imam W.D. Muhammad was saying this to me. He was saying, you know what? If you were the Imam, and all you did was the Juma prayer, that's all. Just the Juma prayer, and maybe once a month give a Sunday address. If you just did that and nothing else, the community would benefit more from you than if you don't do anything. If you just leave. Because he's seeing something in me of teaching the Qur'an that the community would benefit. Yes, they would benefit. That's the time of Ibrahim being the teacher, the rational, giving the rational application of the spiritual knowledge That's what we do at Juma. And you keep doing it, the people will learn. Yes. We are hard-pressed to find students, young students, in our community to have the same vigor for the study of Revelation and its place in the development of community life that we encourage for them to comprehend the secular sciences. Hard-pressed to find one. Now, you see how I'm talking now? I have to use this as an example. I'm not boasting. Some of you who are listening as African Americans, I am touching you. I'm touching you. It may be agitating you because what I'm saying applies to you. You feel it. You feel my touch through this screen, through this technology. My words are touching you. My words are addressing a problem and issue in the African American community. This is how the khutbah should be. Don't be afraid to touch your audience. Reach out and touch them. I'm not giving you some abstract talk that doesn't touch you, that'll cause you not to get up and be responsible. I'm one of you. I'm in your life. This is the type of leadership that we need. When we go to the mass here, we don't need some talk that's far beyond. We need talk that's going to help us build and establish ourselves. And you have to be able to touch your audience. Now, these are issues I'm addressing. And talking about Ibrahim, this foundation. You shouldn't have people. Our masjids are made up of certain people. We're very segregated for the most part. And there's nothing wrong with that. With the Eidul Fitr, our audience should be a bigger audience, a more diverse audience. We should all get together for Eidul Fitr. But the Juma can be a very parochial type audience, meaning that you may find in the community the Pakistanis will be dominating in the masjid, the Albanians are a majority of this masjid, the Arabs are over here in this masjid, the Africans in this masjid, the African Americans in this masjid. There's nothing wrong with that. But the Imam of the Albanians should be an Albanian because he knows the people, he knows what makes them tick. He knows their thinking. He understands them. He knows their humor. See, I can talk about the high, and you will laugh because it comes from one of our comedians. But if I go somewhere else about people and just say the high, the eyes, they don't know what you're talking about. They never heard that comedian. Even though he's a very vulgar comedian, he's still funny. So I'm just taking that and taking that vulgarity and putting it and raising it up like the water raised up from corrupt waters. We can listen to the vulgar people in our society and take that vulgarity and rise it up to a more ethical thinking and come back down to that same person and improve him. So our first line of leadership, which is the Imam and Juma, should come from the majority of the people that's in that audience. If you have a masjid on the college campus, the Imam should come from the people who are of the students of the college campus. They should be familiar with the college campus and the ways of the people and the issues that the people are dealing with on the college campus should be addressed during the Jumu'ah. A person outside who's never been to college before shouldn't go and address the college people. He doesn't know their issues. And that group could be a more diverse group because it's on the college campus. And you have to have an imam that knows how to address a diverse group in their issues, in their common issues of the campus community. It's an issue I'm addressing. We go and make people imams in the African American group, but he's not an African American, so he can't address us in our issues. Sometimes they're afraid to, because they're afraid they may hurt you. You feel hurt. So they don't want to hurt you. So they don't reach out and touch you. Just a little, you're so sensitive, like water, just a little touch will hurt you. And we can't make progress because of that. So we're always pushing, talking about religious studies, but yet we praise about the high scores of academia. And we wonder why. Why do we lack the good moral and ethical behavior? Another problem, African-American problem. Moral and ethical behavior. That's our greatest problem today. Slavery is not our greatest problem. Moral and ethical behavior is our greatest problem. Our culture is founded upon immoral behavior. Look at what we call culture. Define culture. And look at what represents culture. And then look at what dominates amongst us. From our good minds. Not only is this evident in our community, but it seems to be evident throughout the Muslim world, the Muslim community. The best minds are pushed towards secular and or empirical studies, while the less fortunate thinkers are pushed to be the Imam. Thus, less importance is placed on reading, comprehending, and reconciling revelation with the external world. Throughout the Muslim world now, what do you find with our sons? Recitation only. Learn how to memorize and recite Qur'an, and then we will applaud. But go to the secular school, because their religious stuff doesn't have a place in the community. I heard the Imam speaking from New York. He said he's been raising monies for schools throughout the country. And that's what he was saying. And he was saying it seems to him that more of our Muslim children attend the secular school than they do the private schools. After all these years, they still attend the public schools, not the private schools. Even the private schools are not teaching the spiritual sciences. You know, the Qur'an has to be taught as a science. It should be taught as a spiritual science. We don't teach the Qur'an as a spiritual science. We don't teach the Qur'an as a science at all. There is one type of body of knowledge that emphasizes the aspects of scientific knowledge that are closely related to apparent evidence to the external senses, especially as discovered in experiments. It is a fundamental part of the scientific method that all the hypotheses and theories must be tested against observations of the external world. This body of knowledge is referred to as empirical studies. Another body of knowledge is more spiritual in nature that lies within the cognitive faculties of sense, imagination, memory, and understanding, or the intellect in which reasons of truth may be derived through intuition, revelation, or reasoning prior to experience. So all bodies of knowledge that exist in the skies of our spirituality does not have to come through the doors of the five senses through experience. Both types of knowledge contribute to the thinking, behavior, and conduct of man. Consequently, revelation, as it has been recorded, the Qur'an, in fact, should not be left out as an important study in the educational process. Perhaps it is the leading authority in the conduct of man, especially when addressing the rise and fall of nations. The Qur'an should be the leading authority in our educational system. It should be taught in our educational system, beginning with it being taught as a science. And we need to get away from this idea that our children can't learn. We have a proven method now, a proven method that you can learn to read and comprehend Qur'an from its Arabic text. And the Arabic language, the Quranic Arabic language holds logic. We're talking about Abraham and establishing the house based upon logic. It holds a logic that no other language can hold. Some languages, when you look at them, they don't hold a high logic. They don't hold a transcendent logic. It's just language used for communication. And some languages, they can hold a higher ascending ideas in the language. It can hold it. Some can't hold it. But Quranic Arabic, it holds an ascending kind of a logic that you can't get out of any other language. It's Quranic Arabic, meaning that the language, the original language of the Qur'an. This is why we should study it. And we have methods now that the students can learn Quranic Arabic with comprehension without having to learn to speak fluently in Arabic as a communication language. You can get the revelation from reading Qur'an in Arabic, but you still do not have to know how to speak Arabic. Even myself, I don't speak Arabic fluently. But just a little to hold a 15-minute conversation. Someone called me from Morocco the other day. I was able to hold about a 15-minute conversation, and then I began to lose it. I had to write to me. If you write it, I can read and understand if he writes it. My ears are not sensitive enough to pick the language up. I can just go into an environment where I hear it, and then I'll be okay after maybe 6 months or so. But I don't have to have that in order to understand the Quranic Arabic. Now we have a system. We've been having problems with learning Quranic Arabic. We have a system now. Mali has a system that we can learn Quranic Arabic with comprehension now. It has been proven now, perhaps through empirical investigation. It's proven because the ones who are learning are 50 years and over. Some are in their 60s, many are in their 60s, 70s, and we have some 80-year-olds that are learning. So this system is working for us. Just think if we could take our system now and put it in the Muslim schools. Our children would advance in the science of Qur'an, in the Quranic science. Not sciences that come from the Qur'an as a science itself. So in conclusion, one of the big mistakes in the history of the Muslim world is that they became more interested in building and preserving empires, a play on empirical thinking, and less concentration was placed on the studies and advancement of thinking from recorded revelation. In fact, a statement was issued, as we have said earlier, and that many hold on to this statement today, and that is the doors of independent struggle, of independent reasoning, based upon revelation, are closed. The foundation and the establishment of the house that we're talking about is based upon both spiritual and rational thinking. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We will stop here. If I've held you too long, I apologize. But today is Saturday. I just wanted to take my time and speak to you today. I thank you for coming, and I pray that you have benefited from our speech today. On Monday through Friday, we're at 6 o'clock, and I try to stay within just the hour. But Saturday and Sunday, I may extend a little. This is Ramadan, our Ramadan sessions, and we want to have a beautiful, blessed Ramadan in our readings and our studies. Therefore, tomorrow we'll be back again at 9 a.m. tomorrow, 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. I thank you again. Peace be upon you all. Blessed Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum.